The most terrible and frightening thing is that you will never know what kind of person lives under the same roof with you. My wife, by her actions, has made it clear to me that I do not know her at all. She just liked spending time with another man while I was waiting for her at home. Melanie Weatherby. The two attractive women dining on the restaurant patio garnered plenty of attention from passing men. However, they were too engrossed in their conversation to notice. "How long has it been, Melanie?" asked the tall, dark-haired woman. "It feels like I haven't seen you in forever." The other woman, a blonde who was a year or two younger, replied, "I know, Jerry. I feel bad about it too. But with grad school and married life, it's been tough to find time for much else. How's business school going? You must be close to earning your MBA by now." "Yeah, I'm almost there. We have spring break next week and then just a few weeks of classes left before I get my diploma. I've already submitted my thesis, so that's out of the way. And even better, it looks like I'll be exempt from all my finals. It should be smooth sailing from here." "That's fantastic, Melanie. Congratulations. Do you have a job lined up yet?" "Not yet. I've worked really hard these past 2 years, so I'm planning to take a little break before diving into the job market. I want to relax and have some fun before I get back to the grind. But enough about me. How are you doing? Is there a special someone in your life?" "Everything's going well for me, but I'm still on the lookout for Mr. Right." The blonde glanced at her brunette friend with an appraising look. "With your looks, I wouldn't rush to settle down. I bet you could be out with a different handsome guy every night if you wanted." Jerry gave a wry smile. "Trust me, Melanie, being single isn't as great as it seems these days. To find one decent guy, you have to sift through a dozen losers, and honestly, it's getting old. I'm a bit envious of you, happily married to a great guy like Adam. Speaking of Adam, how's that good-looking husband of yours?" "He's fine, I guess." "Ooh, that sounded a bit downbeat. What's up, Melanie? Is everything okay between you two?" The blonde shook her head. "It's not that we're having problems, exactly. It's just that Adam is so busy trying to get his business going that we barely have time to enjoy ourselves together. And even when we do, we don't have much money to spend on fun. Well, all that time he's putting into his business is to secure a future for both of you. And as for the money, I'm sure putting you through grad school isn't cheap." "I know, and I appreciate it. But sometimes I just want to go out and have some fun like we used to. At school, all my classmates talk about is going to parties and meeting people at bars. Meanwhile, I'm stuck at home watching reruns on TV." The dark-haired woman gave her friend a knowing glance. Is there someone at school you're thinking about going out with?" Melanie chuckled. "You always see right through me." She leaned in to keep her voice down. "Actually, there's this first-year student named Carl who's really cute." She blushed. "And I think he's into me, too. Whenever we're together, he makes a point to compliment how I look and how well I'm doing in school." Jerry tilted her head. "I don't think Adam would be thrilled to hear that. It's just harmless flirting. It doesn't mean anything. But you're right. Adam is pretty old-fashioned about these things. That's why I'm not going to tell him." She shifted in her seat. "But I can't help but think about how things were before I got married. It was so much fun dating different guys. I miss that." "Be careful, girl. You've got a great husband, and you don't want to risk losing him. You know Adam wouldn't tolerate it if he found out you were fooling around, and I bet there are plenty of women who would jump at the chance to comfort him afterward." I know. And honestly, I want to spend my life with him and start a family and everything. It's just that I'd like to have a little fun before things get too serious." She lowered her voice and leaned in again. "Remember the guy I told you about? Yesterday he asked me to go to Florida with him over spring break. If I could pull it off without Adam finding out, I'd probably say yes." She leaned back, laughing it off. "But it's just a fantasy. It could never actually happen." Jerry leaned back and gave Melanie a thoughtful look. After a moment, she nodded as if she had made up her mind. "Don't be so certain. I know a way you could do it and get away with it." Melanie gasped, a mix of disbelief and excitement in her voice. You're joking! How? Are you really willing to risk your marriage for just a week-long fling? If I could be sure Adam would never find out, why not? But you're just messing with me, Jerry. There's no way I could pull something like that off. There is, and it's actually quite straightforward. Jerry began counting off the steps on her fingers. First, create a new email account on Gmail with an anonymous name, like a good friend. Then, use that account to send Adam an anonymous email, warning him that his wife is having an affair. I tell him I'm having an affair? That's crazy. Why would I do that? Jerry continued calmly. Specifically, you'd say that Melanie is having an affair with someone Adam doesn't know and can't easily investigate. What good would that do? It would shift his focus away from the guy you're actually interested in. Yeah, but it would make Adam suspicious of me. Exactly. But when he can't find any evidence of the affair, he'll have no choice but to confront you and demand an explanation. But I don't want him to be suspicious of me. No, you don't. So when he confronts you, get really angry with him for not trusting you. In fact, get so angry that you suggest taking a time out in your marriage. Doesn't your mother live in Florida? Melanie was caught off guard by the sudden shift. Yes. Why? Perfect. In your anger, tell Adam you're going to Florida over spring break to stay with your mother and figure out what to do about your marriage. Then, while he's stuck in town frantically searching for the non-existent guy, you'll be in Florida with Carl, enjoying your little fling. How do I explain all this to my mother? Jerry rolled her eyes. You don't. In fact, you don't even have to see your mother while you're there. But what if Adam calls her? Tell him not to. Say you need a complete break from him to sort things out. Make it clear that if he tries to contact you or your mother, you might not come home at all. Melanie paused for a moment, considering her friend's plan. Then a smile spread across her face. You know, Jerry, I think this might actually work. But what do I do when I get back? That's simple. By then, Adam will be missing you terribly. And since he won't be able to find the so-called mystery man you're supposedly having an affair with, he'll realize that someone was just messing with him. He'll feel guilty for doubting you and will be begging for your forgiveness. You forgive him, and everything will be fine. You'll have had your fun, and you and Adam will be closer than ever. What about the mystery man? Should I just make up a name? You could, but it would be more convincing if it were a real person. Choose someone you definitely couldn't be having an affair with, like someone much older, someone who lives far away, or even someone who's passed away. That way, even if Adam tries to track him down, you'll be in the clear. Hey, I think I know the perfect guy. There was this creepy professor I had during my first year of grad school. I think he left town because I never saw him again. How does that sound? Perfect. Melanie suddenly reached across the table and squeezed her friend's hand. You're amazing, Jerry. I'm so excited. I really think this will work. She then hugged herself and gave a little shiver. I can't wait to tell Carl. Adam Weatherby. Any update from the supplier about the parts we ordered? When his foreman shook his head, Adam returned to his office and sank into his second-hand swivel chair, anxiously rubbing his forehead. If those parts don't arrive soon, we'll miss our deadline for delivering the prototypes. After the foreman left, Adam sat there, trying to come up with a backup plan. When his email notification sounded, he quickly turned to check his inbox, hoping for some good news. But when he saw the subject line, "About your wife," he nearly deleted it. Curiosity got the better of him, and he opened the message. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but Melanie is having an affair with Professor Bellingham. I just thought you should know. A good friend. What the hell? Stunned, Adam read the message again, struggling to process the shocking words. What kind of nonsense is this? It can't be true. Melanie would never cheat on me. Someone must be trying to cause trouble between us. But who would do such a thing, and why? He started to delete the message, but paused. This is the last thing I need right now. It has to be a mistake, a misunderstanding. But his practical side wouldn't let him ignore it. Damn it, this can't be true. Angrily, he clicked reply. Who are you? Why are you making such a terrible accusation? What proof do you have? He hit send and then stared at the screen in frustration. That won't help. There's no telling when or if this person will ever reply, and there's no way to track them down. I guess I better start trying to find out who this Bellingham is. He opened his browser and navigated to the university's website, searching through the faculty listings for the Graduate School of Business. To his surprise, there was no Professor Bellingham on staff. Undeterred, he expanded his search to the entire university faculty, but again, he came up empty. Frustrated, he began checking other educational institutions in the area, but it was all in vain. This is absurd, he muttered. Did my good friend just invent a name? He then tried a Google search, and the search engine quickly returned 5 results. However, 2 were women, and none were local. I knew it was fake. Someone's either trying to mess with me or drive me insane. Still, he couldn't bring himself to delete the email. Now that the seed of doubt had been planted, it began to take root in his mind. God, what if she's having an affair? I haven't noticed any signs, but that doesn't mean anything. Besides, I've been so busy with work that I barely spend time with her. What if she's upset about being neglected? I know there have been times when she wanted to go out, and I turned her down. But damn it, I'm working almost 70 hours a week trying to get the business off the ground. Doesn't she understand that? Can't she see that I'm doing this for us? And honestly, we can't afford to do anything extravagant right now. Her tuition at the business school keeps increasing every year, and I've been pouring everything else into this business to get it running. Still, I guess I have been neglecting her. Feeling guilty, he started checking his calendar, trying to remember the last time they went out together. After going back 3 months without finding anything, he stopped. Damn. But as his guilt grew, so did his anger. Maybe I haven't given Melanie all the attention she wants, but that doesn't give her the right to cheat on me. Besides, we agreed on the sacrifices we'd have to make when we started this business. She was all in back then, so she really has no right to complain now. His thoughts were interrupted when his foreman poked his head through the doorway. Hey, Adam, good news. The components we needed just arrived. Thank goodness. Okay, let's get them unpacked and over to the shop ASAP. As the foreman hurried away, Adam took a deep breath. Well, that's one crisis averted at least. He chuckled wryly. I guess that means I can spend more time worrying about my wife. After spending more time searching online without success, he leaned back and tried to think. If Mel really is having an affair, it must be with someone at the university. Maybe my good friend got the name wrong, or perhaps the university just hasn't listed his name on their website. He returned to the university's website and found a phone number for the Human Resources Department. When a secretary answered, he asked if there was a Professor Bellingham on the faculty. Which school, please? I think it's the Graduate School of Business, but I'm not sure. There was a pause before the voice returned. I'm sorry, sir, but we have no Professor Bellingham at the business school. What about the other schools? There was an audible sigh. Hold, please. This time, the wait was longer. When the woman finally returned, her tone had changed. Sir, there is no Professor Bellingham employed by the university. A thought crossed his mind. Could he have been an employee a year or 2 ago? I can only confirm our current faculty. Why is that? It's university policy, sir. Now, is there anything else I can help you with? No, you've done all you can do, he said, trying to keep the sarcasm out of his voice. He made one more attempt, calling the dean of the business school. After going back and forth with an administrative assistant, he ended up with no new information. By now, Adam's head was pounding. I need a strong drink, he blurted out after hanging up in frustration. But then an idea struck him, and he picked up the phone again. Hey, Jerry, it's Adam. Listen, could you meet me after work at Maxie's place for a drink? I've got a problem, and I really need your advice. No, I'd rather not discuss it over the phone. You can? Great, I'll see you there at 6 o'clock. Before leaving, he checked his email one more time. There were no new messages from a good friend. When Adam walked into Maxie's place, he noticed Jerry sitting in a quiet corner. In front of her were a glass of white wine and a mug of his favorite draft beer. He approached her and kissed her on the cheek. Thanks for the beer and, more importantly, for being here tonight. I really needed to talk. After he sat down, she took a sip of her wine and gave him a long, thoughtful look. Okay, Adam, spill it. What's going on? Is something wrong with your business? Unsure of where to begin, he stared at his mug for a moment before blurting out, Do you happen to know a Professor Bellingham at the university? She looked puzzled and shook her head. Bellingham? Never heard of him. Why? He sighed and handed her a printout of the email. I received this today. She quickly read through it, gasped, and then read it again. She looked up at him with sympathy in her eyes. Poor Adam, no wonder you didn't want to discuss this over the phone. What do you make of it? I don't know what to think, Jerry. I can't believe it's true, but I also don't want to bury my head in the sand and ignore it. I spent the whole afternoon trying to track down this Professor Bellingham, but I hit a dead end at the university. Now I'm at a loss. I can't afford to hire a private investigator, and I don't have time to play detective myself. That's why I wanted to talk to you. You've been a good friend to Melanie and me for a long time. Please, tell me what you think. She took another sip of her drink, then reached over to give his hand a quick squeeze. What you're really asking is whether I think she's having an affair. I can't give you an absolute answer. On one hand, I haven't seen or heard anything that would make me suspect she's been unfaithful. On the other hand, I haven't seen much of her in the last few months. His face twisted in pain, and she continued quickly. You and I both know there are people out there who like to cause trouble, and this could be one of those situations. Or maybe you have business rivals who want to see you distracted by problems in your marriage. There could be other scenarios we haven't even considered. But what I do know is that you can't just ignore this and hope it goes away. I understand how much you value marital fidelity, and I know that even the slightest suspicion that your marriage has been compromised will eat away at you. If you don't address it, doubt will ultimately destroy your relationship with Melanie just as effectively as an affair would. He looked at her with a haunted expression. I know you're right, Jerry, but what can I do? In my opinion, you should show this to Melanie. She needs to know that someone is accusing her of infidelity, and she deserves the chance to shed light on the situation. After all, Adam, if someone made this kind of accusation against you, wouldn't you want to know? He sat quietly for a moment, then nodded. You're right. If I don't share this with Melanie, it's going to affect how I behave around her. In the end, it will push us apart just as surely as if she were actually cheating on me. He stood up and hugged the dark-haired woman. Thanks for helping me think this through, Jerry. I don't know what I'd do without you. You know how much I care about both of you, Adam. If there's anything I can do to help, just let me know. He nodded gratefully and headed for the door as she stood there watching. When he arrived home, Melanie was waiting for him. Where have you been, Adam? I tried calling you, but you didn't pick up. He avoided answering her question. Taking her hand, he guided her to the couch and sat down next to her. I need to show you something, Mel. It's really thrown me for a loop. She sat beside him, her anxiety evident. He handed her the printout. I got this in my email today. Can you tell me anything about it? She skimmed it quickly. To his surprise, she leaped up and started shouting. You think I'm cheating on you? I can't believe this. You get some ridiculous accusation from an anonymous friend, and you're ready to accuse me of infidelity? No, honey, I wasn't accusing you of anything. If you weren't accusing me, then why did you show me this filthy lie? She grabbed the printout, crumpled it into a ball, and threw it at him. You might as well stab me in the heart. This hurts me deeply. You trust some cowardly anonymous source more than you trust your own wife. She picked up her purse and marched to the front door. I can't even stand to look at you right now. I'm going out, and I don't know when I'll be back. With that, she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Moments later, he heard the roar of her car engine and the screech of tires as she sped away. Oh, damn. I never expected that. I'm worse off now than I was before. He groaned, collapsing onto the couch and burying his head in his hands. As he sat there, Adam's initial reaction was defensive. Why did she get so upset? She didn't even let me finish. I didn't accuse her of cheating. I just showed her what someone else had said. That's all. But he already knew the answer before he finished thinking. If Mel had given me that note, I might have reacted the same way. But what else could I have done? Pretend like everything was fine? Jerry was right. I couldn't just ignore the email. That wouldn't have been fair to either Mel or myself. Even after spending the entire evening replaying the situation in his mind, he was no closer to figuring out what to do than when he started. He knew he needed to talk to Mel, but he couldn't even decide what to say to her. The only thing he was certain of was that he wanted his wife to come home so they could try to fix things. Feeling emotionally drained, Adam noticed he was getting tired, but he was determined not to go to bed until Melanie returned. After waiting for another hour, he lay down on the couch and eventually drifted off to sleep. Sometime after midnight, he was jolted awake by the sound of the door opening. As he groggily sat up, Melanie walked into the living room, hands on her hips, and stared at him. Mel, we really need to. I don't want to talk about this right now, she interrupted sharply. You can stay on the couch tonight and we'll talk in the morning. Without waiting for a response, she turned and walked down the hall to their bedroom. When he heard the door slam, he groaned and lay back down on the couch, hoping he could fall asleep again. It took a long time. Normally, Adam got up early to get to the office before everyone else, but even though his internal clock woke him at the usual time, he felt like he shouldn't leave until Melanie showed up so they could talk. He made a pot of coffee and sat in front of his laptop to catch up on the news while he waited. It was nearly 8 o'clock when Melanie finally walked into the kitchen. Adam was shocked to see that she was pulling her suitcase behind her. Where are you going, Melanie? I thought we were going to. Before he could finish, she raised her hand to stop him. This has been a huge shock, Adam. It makes me question our entire marriage. I need some time alone to process everything that's happened. Spring break starts tomorrow, so I'm going to drive down to Florida to visit my mother. She gave him a furious look. I'm planning to stay there all week and return in time for classes the following Monday. While I'm gone, I don't want to hear a single word from you. Don't call me, don't call my mother, and don't call her house. Do you understand? He nodded helplessly. I mean it, Adam. If you try to contact me, I might not come back at all. Got it? He nodded again. Good, she said coldly, then marched out the door to her car, dragging her suitcase behind her. Once she was gone, Adam sat there in shock for a few minutes. Eventually, he got up, shaved, changed clothes, and drove to work feeling downcast. When he arrived at the office, there was some good news waiting for him. His foreman had taken the initiative to distribute the missing components to the correct stations on the production line, and testing was going smoothly. At least the business isn't falling apart today, unlike my marriage, Adam thought bitterly. He was working on a spreadsheet that afternoon when his phone rang. Jerry was on the other end. I was worried, so I wanted to check in. How did everything go with Melanie last night? Honestly, it's a long, sad story, he replied, sounding downcast. That doesn't sound good. Want to meet up for a drink and talk about it? That would be great, Jerry. Same place as before. Before leaving, he checked his email again, but still, there was nothing from a good friend. When he arrived at the bar, Jerry noticed the dark circles under his eyes right away. Oh, Adam, it looks like you didn't get much sleep. Tell me what happened. He took a big gulp from his beer mug and began recounting the previous night's argument and Melanie's departure that morning. Jerry listened, her expression a mix of sadness and guilt. "Oh, Adam, I feel awful. You took my advice, and it turned out to be the wrong move." "No, Jerry, I've thought it over, and I believe it was the only option I had. I didn't expect Mel to react so angrily, but I couldn't have kept that email to myself and pretended nothing happened. All I can do now is hope she calms down, and we can talk when she comes back." "You're kind to say that, Adam, but I still feel guilty about what happened. So, what's your plan for the rest of the week?" "I'm not sure, Jerry. I don't see how Mel and I can move forward without discussing what happened. Maybe I'll wait a few days and then try to call her." "No, Adam, that's exactly what you shouldn't do. She already thinks you don't trust her. If you try to contact her after she told you not to, it'll only confirm her suspicions." "Yeah, I guess I see your point. But I feel so helpless. I have no way of finding out who sent the email. The only thing I can do while she's gone is keep trying to figure out who this Professor Bellingham is." "That sounds reasonable. If you can find him, maybe he can help clear things up." Over the next few days, Adam made numerous attempts to uncover the mystery behind the anonymous email. Although he wasn't successful, he remained convinced that Bellingham was somehow linked to the university. Then an idea struck him. Maybe the reason I can't find this person is that he's an alumnus, not a current faculty member. Well, I'm an alumnus too, so perhaps alumni relations can assist. When he called and identified himself as an alumnus, Adam was promptly transferred to the development office. The representative who answered took down all his contact details, address, phone number, and email, and then asked how much Adam wanted to pledge to the alumni fund. No, I'm not calling to make a donation. I'm trying to locate a Professor Bellingham. I think he might be an alumnus." The man put him on hold to check several databases. "I'm sorry, sir, but it seems we've never had a graduate by that name." "Really? What about the graduate schools? I checked those as well. Maybe he didn't graduate. Perhaps he attended for a year or two before dropping out or transferring." The man seemed to lose interest. "I'm afraid I can't help you with that. Our database only includes graduates. Is there anything else I can assist you with?" After Adam declined, he hung up, swearing in frustration. "Great. Now all I've done is make sure I'll get calls during their next alumni fundraising campaign." With no progress made online or by phone, he decided to take an hour off the next afternoon to visit the Graduate School of Business. When he arrived, the building was nearly deserted. "It's spring break, you idiot." Adam cursed himself. Still, he found a few people around and made himself a nuisance by going from office to office asking for information about Professor Bellingham. Eventually, an assistant dean confronted him. "Sir, I'm sorry, but you'll have to leave now. If you don't comply, we'll have to call campus security." Adam apologized and quickly left, feeling more frustrated than ever. Back at his office, he slumped down at his desk. After one more unsuccessful check of his email, he buried his head in his hands. What am I going to do now? At that moment, his office phone rang. When Adam picked up, a voice he didn't recognize asked, "Are you the young man searching for Professor Bellingham?" After Adam confirmed, the caller introduced himself. "My name is Dr. Avery Mayfair. I'm a faculty member at the Graduate School of Business, and I might be able to assist you. But first, can you tell me why you're looking for Professor Bellingham?" Adam hesitated to share his situation with a stranger, but desperation got the better of him, so he provided Dr. Mayfair with a brief summary of his search for the missing professor. When he finished, the caller responded thoughtfully. "I see. I overheard your questions at the school today, and the way you asked them made me wonder if something like this might be the case. In any event, I believe I can ease your concerns, young man. Bellingham was an adjunct professor at the graduate school 2 years ago. He was a competent teacher, but unfortunately, enrollment for his class didn't meet the minimum requirement. As a result, the course was canceled, and his contract wasn't renewed." "I see," Adam replied. "Does that mean—" "There's more," Dr. Mayfair continued. I received a letter from Professor Bellingham at the start of this academic year. He wrote to inform me that he had taken a position at Black Hills State University in South Dakota. He's in South Dakota? Adam asked, surprised. That's right, Doctor. Mayfair confirmed. And there's something else you might want to know. In that same letter, Professor Bellingham mentioned that he had recently married his longtime partner, Harold. Harold? So Bellingham is… Exactly. Dr. Mayfair, thank you so much for calling. I still don't understand why someone would send me such a deceitful email, but now I'm sure it was all a lie. I hoped I could put your mind at ease. Sir, may I ask one more question? Why did you decide to call me? Don't get me wrong. I'm very grateful, but I'm just a stranger to you. The professor's tone shifted. I don't mind sharing this with you, young man. Years ago, something very similar happened to me. My wife left me to run off with her lover, so I deeply sympathize with anyone who might be facing such a situation. Fortunately, in your case, the warning turned out to be false, and I was glad to ease your mind. But, as you can imagine, I have very strong feelings about anyone interfering in a marriage. Had the accusation been true, I wouldn't have hesitated to inform you. Thank you, sir. You have no idea how much I appreciate what you've done. That evening, Adam called Jerry to share the good news. I still don't know who's trying to sabotage my marriage, but now I'm certain Mel isn't having an affair with Professor Bellingham. Are you sure you can trust this doctor? Mayfair? Absolutely. After the call, I looked him up and found out he's on the business school faculty. He's an older man, probably in his 60s, and seems to be well respected. Just to be safe, I also checked out Bellingham on the Black Hills website, and sure enough, there he was. That's great, Adam. You must feel so relieved. Yeah, I do. But now I'm not sure how to talk to Mel when she gets home. That's easy, Adam. From what you told me about your confrontation, it sounds like she didn't really give you a chance to explain. When she gets back, just tell her that you never doubted her. Say that you already knew about Bellingham and tracked him down as soon as you got the email. But because of her strong reaction, you didn't get a chance to explain. If you play your cards right, Adam, she might end up apologizing to you. I'm not sure, Jerry. That's not exactly how it happened. He could hear the smile in her voice. Come on, Adam. Is it really so bad to stretch the truth a little to get what you want? Melanie. On Sunday, before returning to town, Melanie surprised Jerry with a phone call. Hi, girl. I wanted to talk to you before I go home. Do you know how Adam is doing? I'm a little worried about what I might encounter when I arrive. The only thing I can say for sure is that you owe me a lot for everything I did while you were having fun. With a little support from me and some luck, your marriage will be stronger than ever. She then recounted the events of the week, including how Adam found out where Bellingham was. If you play your cards right, when you get back, Adam will apologize to you, you will apologize to him, and everything will go back to normal. There was a short silence on the line. What if I don't want everything to go back to normal? What do you mean, Melanie? I don't understand. I just had a great time last week. Carl, the guy I was dating is so funny. Melanie's voice became a little husky. And what's the best part? He's an amazing lover. Anyway, I'm not ready for this little adventure to end. I want to keep seeing him at least until the end of the semester. Come on, Gary. You have to help me figure this out. Wow, Melanie. You've already risked so much by spending a week with this guy. If you try to keep this romance alive in the city, you're really pushing your luck, girl. Maybe, but you have to admit that your little plan worked perfectly. I'm sure you can figure out how I can do it again. Please, Gary? This guy is really cool. I had a feeling that something like this might happen. There was a long pause. Okay, Gary said slowly. I can come up with a plan to do this. But you have to understand that you're risking your marriage with Adam. He's a great guy, Melanie. He is a hard-working, loyal, and true family man. Men like him don't meet every day. Are you sure you want to risk all this just to have some fun in bed? Melanie chuckled. You caught me saying, I can come up with a plan. All right, but don't say I didn't warn you. Here's what you need to do next. Do you still have that email account you set up? Yeah, you told me to keep it active. Good, because you need to send another email from a good friend. But this time, you're going to send it to yourself, to your regular email account. Okay. What should the new email say? It's similar to the first one, but this time, you say that Adam is having an affair with me. What? That's not true, and Adam knows it. How's that supposed to help? It's simple. The first email accused you of cheating. Adam found out that you couldn't have been unfaithful with Professor Bellingham, but he might still have some lingering doubts about your loyalty. Wait, Jerry, you said the Bellingham email would give me a free pass with Carl. And it did. But now, after Adam gets this second email, all his doubts will be gone. He's already proven you weren't having an affair with Bellingham, and he knows for sure he's not having an affair with me. Clearly, the good friend is a complete liar, so Adam won't have any reason to doubt you anymore. That means you'll be able to do whatever you want without raising Adam's suspicions. There was a pause on the line. Then Melanie exclaimed, Jerry, you're a genius. I don't know how you come up with these ideas, but you've just given me a hall pass until the end of the semester. There are just 2 more things you need to do, Melanie. First, make sure Adam tells me about the second email. Okay, but why? Because that way I can reinforce the idea that you're trustworthy and this mysterious friend isn't. Ooh, that's smart. He really values your opinion, so he'll listen to what you say. Now, what's the other thing? After you send the email to yourself, don't forget to log out of the Good Friend account. You wouldn't want Adam to accidentally find it. Oh my gosh, no. In fact, you should probably stay logged out of both email accounts when you're not using them. You wouldn't want Adam to find any love notes from Carl either. I've warned Carl never to email me, but that's still good advice. Better safe than sorry. Adam. When Adam arrived home from work that evening, he was alarmed to see that Melanie had been crying. Things had been going so well between them since her return from Florida, so her distress took him by surprise. Mel, what's wrong? What happened? He asked, rushing to her side. Oh, Adam, it's starting all over again, she said, her voice trembling as she handed him a copy of the email. Unbelievable, he cursed after reading the accusatory message. You know this isn't true, right? Of course, sweetheart. I know you'd never cheat on me, just as I'd never cheat on you. And even if you did, I know it would never be with Jerry. She's such a close friend to both of us. She'd never do something like that. Damn it, someone is still trying to cause trouble between us, and I have no idea who or why. There has to be a way to trace these emails. Melanie looked at him uncertainly. Are you going to tell Jerry about this? Do you think I should? I think you have to. Like it or not, she's involved now. It wouldn't be fair not to let her know. The next morning when Adam called, Jerry answered cheerfully. So, how are the lovebirds doing today? Adam's tone was serious. We're okay, Jerry, but something has come up that I need to talk to you about. Can we meet after work? Actually, I'm planning to work from home this afternoon. Could you come to my apartment instead? Sure, that works. I'll be there between 6:30 and 7. That evening, when Jerry opened the door to her apartment, she immediately noticed the serious expression on Adam's face. What's going on, Adam? I've been worried since you called. He shook his head. I'm really sorry, Jerry, but it seems you've been dragged into this mess with Melanie and me. Seeing her confusion, he handed her a copy of the latest email. After reading it, she looked up at Adam in frustration. This is absurd. We're not having an affair. I would never do that to Melanie. I hope she understands that. Adam nodded. She does. In fact, she told me the same thing. Jerry shook her head, puzzled. I'm relieved to hear that. But what do you think all of this means? I think it means someone is determined to create trouble between Melanie and me. First, Professor Bellingham's warning, and now this. The only explanation I can think of is that I have an enemy, maybe a business rival. but I have no idea who it could be. Since you're now involved, Mel and I thought it was important to let you know." She nodded. "I'm glad you did, Adam. You're always so considerate. But I don't know what we can do about it unless this person makes a move or slips up. I don't think involving the police would help." "I agree, Jerry, but it's so frustrating. I'm fed up with this whole situation. I just want whoever is behind this to leave us alone." "How is Melanie handling it?" "She's pretty shaken. When I got home, she was in tears. I'm not surprised, especially after what the first incident put her through. Listen, Adam, I think Melanie is really vulnerable right now. With all of this going on and her graduation approaching, she must be a bundle of nerves. You need to protect her as much as you can. Do you think we should both block all emails from that account?" "That might not be the best idea. If more messages come through, you'd probably want to know about them." "Yeah, you're right. But how can I protect Mel?" "For starters, if you receive another one of these emails, I wouldn't tell her about it immediately. In fact, I think you should check her email on her laptop whenever you have the chance. If she gets another message, you can forward it to yourself before she sees it. That way, you can keep her out of it." "Yeah, I think that's a good idea." He got up. "I'm really sorry you had to get involved in all this." "If you're apologizing, there's no need," she said. "I care about you a lot and would do anything to help." He smiled appreciatively. "I should head home and check on Melanie." He began to leave, but then stopped to give Jerry a hug and a kiss on the cheek. "Thanks for being such a good friend. Your support through all this has meant a lot to me." When Adam arrived home, he was pleasantly surprised to find Melanie in a much better mood. She was even more cheerful the next morning, waking up early to have breakfast with him. "This is a real treat, Melanie. I don't often get to see you before I leave for work. I didn't want you to head out this morning without hearing 'I love you,'" she said with a kiss. "By the way," she continued, "I'm going to a lecture on campus tonight. A few of the girls and I are planning to grab a bite afterward, so I'll likely be home quite late." "That's fine, Mel. We have plenty of leftovers in the fridge so I can have dinner here." "Thanks, honey. I'll probably come home after classes to drop off my school stuff and change clothes. If I don't see you then, have a good evening." Knowing Melanie would be out, Adam stayed late at the office. For once, things were starting to improve with the business. A major potential client was really impressed with the new product samples, and Adam was hopeful for a trial order. At least that's a positive development. Now if only I could figure out who's been messing with our emails. He was still thinking about the mysterious good friend when he walked into the house. As he headed toward the bedroom, he noticed Melanie's laptop on the table. I guess she didn't need it for the lecture. Then he remembered Jerry's suggestion. I should check to see if she's still logged into her email. If she is, I need to make sure she hasn't received any new messages from that creep. The laptop powered up as soon as he opened it. There were no emails open, so he clicked the Gmail link to check if she was logged in. A window appeared, prompting him to choose an account. Melanie's email was visible, but she had logged out, so he started to close Gmail. Just before he could, he noticed a second account listed beneath her regular email. As he took a closer look, he was stunned to see that the account name was A Good Friend. "What on earth?" he exclaimed, staring at it in shock. He attempted to open the account, but Google required a password. Unable to provide it, he closed the tab and sank into a chair, trying to process what he had just discovered. How could she have an email account with that name? I know Gmail doesn't allow duplicate account names. This suggests that Melanie must have been behind those other emails. But why would she do that? Why would she send me anonymous messages accusing herself of an affair? It only took a moment for him to realize the truth. It must have been a diversion. She wanted me to chase after some gay professor in South Dakota because she's involved with someone else. Then another realization hit him hard. Her trip to Florida. When I showed her the email, she acted so upset. She said she was going to visit her mother and needed time away from me. Now I'm starting to question whether she even went to see her mom. He quickly grabbed his cell phone and dialed his mother-in-law's number. When she answered, he made some polite small talk before saying, "Melanie and I were thinking of visiting next month. Is that too soon for you to see us again?" "Too soon? I haven't seen you both in ages. Come over whenever you can." He clenched his teeth in frustration. "All right, great. We'll contact you once we have a definite date." After hanging up, he swore under his breath. Damn it! Where exactly did Melanie go? And more importantly, who is she with? Then he recalled the recent email Melanie received. What was that all about? Damn it! It must have been another distraction to keep me from questioning her while she goes off to these lectures with her girlfriends. What a deceitful, sneaky liar. He began to wonder what she was wearing when she went out. He rushed to their bedroom and started rummaging through Melanie's lingerie. It was difficult to remember everything she owned, and he almost gave up. But a sudden suspicion seized him, and he checked one more item: her garter belt. It was missing. He searched for the matching bra and pan eyes, but they were also gone. Out to dinner with her girlfriends, huh? He put everything back as it was and returned to the kitchen table to think. So you enjoy diversion and deceit? Well, I can play that game too. He was still fuming when Melanie returned home after midnight, but he pretended to be asleep as she tiptoed into the bedroom. It was all he could do not to confront her when he heard the shower turn on. Who knew that attending a lecture could be so sweaty? He thought bitterly. The following morning, Adam rose early and left for work before Melanie was awake. Next to the coffee maker, he left a note for her. "I hope you enjoyed the lecture last night. I had to leave early for a meeting and might be late tonight, so don't wait up for me." Adam's day was indeed hectic, but his meetings weren't with clients or suppliers. At lunchtime, he did a bit of shopping and then went home to prepare a few things. Afterward, he attended 2 more appointments that took up the rest of the afternoon. To pass the time, he went out for dinner and a movie. By the time he returned home, Melanie was already asleep, and he carefully slipped into bed without waking her. The next morning, Melanie was surprised to find Adam waiting for her. "I thought you'd be gone to work by now, honey," she said, gratefully accepting the coffee he offered. "I wanted to see you before I head out to catch my flight to Detroit at noon. I'll be away for a couple of days meeting with some potential clients. This is new. You don't travel often. When do you think you'll be back?" "Not until Friday evening at the earliest. If things go well, I might not leave until Saturday morning. Will you be all right while I'm gone?" She smiled brightly. "Don't worry about me. I'm sure I'll find things to do while you're away." "Okay. Just make sure to stay away from our good friend while I'm gone." Her expression darkened. "That's not funny, Adam." "Sorry, you're right, it's not funny." He waved goodbye, grabbed his suitcase, and headed for his car. As he drove away, he frowned. She didn't even notice I didn't say, "I love you." I bet she's already planning to meet up with her lover again. I need to arrange a distraction to ensure their meeting happens here at home. Instead of heading to the airport, Adam left his office at lunch and drove to the university. After parking off campus, he briskly walked to the Graduate School of Business. He had changed from his usual sports coat and slacks into jeans and a hoodie, carrying a cheap backpack. Keeping his head down, he made his way to the business school library's reading room. The few students present paid no attention as he casually slipped behind a rack of periodicals. Once hidden, he pulled out a string of large firecrackers, lit the long fuse, and dropped them into a metal recycling bin. Then he casually exited through the nearest door, propping it open with his backpack. Once outside, he pulled out the burner phone he had purchased the day before and dialed campus security. "You need to hurry. There's a shooter at the business school," he exclaimed urgently when the call was answered. "I think there might be more than one. They're still shooting." He then held the phone up toward the library, and moments later, the fireworks started to go off. He ended the call and quickly made his way across the campus to his car as sirens began to wail and people scattered in all directions. He had parked out of sight in his neighborhood and was observing from a distance when he noticed his wife's car pulling into their driveway an hour later. A second car pulled up behind her, and a man got out. In times of danger, there's no place like home, Adam muttered with a grim smile. He then got into his car and drove to the motel where he had reserved a room. Late that night, he took another drive through his neighborhood to confirm that the second car was still in his driveway. Satisfied, he returned to his room and tried to get some sleep. When the unfaithful couple emerged from the house the next morning, they were shocked to find Adam leaning casually against the stranger's car. "Oh my God, Carl, it's my husband!" Melanie gasped as she recognized him. "I thought you were in Detroit," she blurted out, instantly realizing how incriminating that sounded. "Honey, this isn't what it looks like. Carl just stopped by to—" "Just stop, Melanie. Every time you speak, you lie. I don't want to hear it anymore." He grimaced and pointed at the two of them. "This is exactly what it looks like. I know you both spent the night here, and I have recordings of everything you said and did together. So stop talking and listen." He pulled out a manila envelope from under his arm and shoved it towards her. "I'm divorcing you on the grounds of adultery. My lawyer's contact information is inside. Get your own lawyer and have them reach out to mine. But don't bother trying to contact me, because after what you've done, I never want to see or speak to you again. No, honey, don't talk like that. This was just a mistake, a one-time thing. We can work it out, I promise." "I said stop lying," he thundered. "It's not a one-time thing. You've been sleeping with him for weeks. And it certainly wasn't a mistake. You planned the whole thing. I know you sent that email as a distraction so you could spend spring break together, wherever the hell you went. Oh, and by the way, your mother wants to know why you haven't visited her lately. I guess you were too busy with this piece of garbage," he gestured at the sulking man, "to bother seeing her." He paused, then turned his focus to Melanie's lover. "Oh, and one more thing." Adam quickly pulled out his phone and snapped several pictures of the startled man. When the man realized what was happening, he snarled, clenched his fists, and took a threatening step toward Adam. Adam immediately reached into his jacket pocket and pulled his hand out just enough to reveal the handle of what appeared to be an automatic weapon. Ah, he said calmly. "I wouldn't do that if I were you. I have no intention of ruining my life by killing you, but I'd be more than happy if you gave me an excuse to shoot you in self-defense." "Whoa, whoa!" The man quickly raised his hands and stepped back. Adam turned back to Melanie with a sneer. "Looks like your boyfriend's more of a lover than a fighter." His voice then turned cold and harsh. "Grab whatever you need from the house and leave, Mel. Don't be here when I get back. I meant it when I said I never want to see you again." "Adam, please," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "I never wanted things to turn out like this." He ignored her, walking to his car as she collapsed on the driveway, sobbing into her hands. On his way to the office, Adam stopped by a dumpster and tossed in the burner phone along with the toy gun he'd had in his pocket. "I'm sure glad they make these things look so real," he muttered with a humorless laugh. When Adam returned to his desk, he used his cell phone to email one of the photos he'd taken. To his surprise, he received a phone call just a few minutes later. "This is Dr. Mayfair. Did you just send me a photograph?" "Dr. Mayfair, I apologize for bothering you again, but do you happen to recognize the man in the photo? I believe his first name is Carl. The woman standing next to him. Is that your wife?" "My soon-to-be ex-wife, unfortunately. She's a very attractive woman. I think she was in one of my classes last year. As for the man beside her, yes, I do recognize him. His name is Carl Mannheim. He's actually one of my advisees." "Carl Mannheim. That's good to know, Doctor. I'm afraid I have some unfinished business with Mr. Mannheim." "So he's the one who disrupted your paradise?" "Yes, in a way, but sadly, my Eve wasn't entirely innocent." I understand. Very interesting. Well, I'm glad I could help, although I'm sorry the situation didn't turn out as you'd hoped. Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate your time and assistance, even though things didn't go as planned. Well, good luck, young man, and don't lose hope. Things have a way of working out for the best. Take it from someone who's been there and come out the other side. Adam. 2 months later. Adam sat across from his attorney, seething with frustration. Have you heard from Melanie's lawyer? Where are we on the divorce? Yes, I spoke with Hannah Montrose yesterday, and she sent Melanie's counteroffer today. The good news is that Melanie has decided not to contest the divorce any longer. Apparently, after Hannah listened to the recordings you made at home, she convinced your wife not to risk having them played in court. However, the bad news is that now that Melanie has accepted the end of the marriage, she's determined to squeeze as much money out of you as she can. Damn it! She lies and cheats on me, and now she expects me to pay for it. It's just not fair. So, what is my unfaithful wife asking for? Typically, I'd expect a demand to split all your assets. But in this case, there's not much to divide. You're renting your home, you have no retirement plan, and there's very little in savings. The only real asset is the equity in your business, which is currently operating at a loss. She seems to think it will fail, so she's only asking the court for alimony. I really appreciate her confidence in me, Adam retorted sarcastically. So how much alimony is she demanding? A lot more than we proposed. The attorney handed him a sheet of paper. Adam looked at it and was stunned. This is outrageous. She knows I can't afford that. If I have to pay this much every month, I'll have to liquidate my business just to cover it. Unfortunately, Melanie is refusing to negotiate, so that's what Hannah plans to present to Judge Abernathy. Well, I'm not going to give Melanie that much money without a fight. We'll have to take our chances in court. All right, Adam, I get it. But keep in mind, Judge Abernathy has the final say, and you'll be bound by whatever he decides. Nearly a month later, Adam found himself sitting in the courtroom, feeling uneasy. After both lawyers had presented their arguments, Judge Abernathy called for a recess. How do you think it's going? Adam whispered to his lawyer. I have no idea. It could go either way, or the judge might come up with a compromise. Moments later, they were asked to stand as Judge Abernathy re-entered the courtroom. After they sat down, the judge called the opposing attorneys to the bench. I assume your clients haven't changed their positions on the financial settlement? The two lawyers exchanged looks. No, Your Honor. All right. Before I make my decision, I'd like to ask Mrs. Weatherby a few questions. Hannah Montrose looked surprised, but then smiled and motioned for Melanie to step forward. It'll be fine, she whispered to her client. Just remember to address him as Your Honor. Adam's lawyer took his seat and leaned toward Adam. It's usually not a good sign when the judge wants to hear more from the other side. Adam watched grimly as his soon-to-be ex-wife took the stand. Her suit was conservatively styled, but fitted well enough to flatter her figure. He noticed the judge's gaze on Melanie and shook his head. I think we're screwed, he whispered to his lawyer. The judge briefly reviewed the documents in front of him before turning to the woman seated in the witness box. So, Mrs. Weatherby, it seems the only point of contention between you and your husband is the amount of alimony to be awarded. Your proposal requests a significantly higher sum than what your husband has offered. That's correct, Your Honor. And what is the reasoning behind the amount you're proposing? We're asking for the higher amount in recognition of my many years of marriage and the fact that I'll essentially be starting my life over from scratch, Your Honor. I see. However, Mr. Weatherby claims that his only source of income is his business, which is currently operating at a loss. What makes you believe he can afford the level of financial support you've requested? Your Honor, we argue that Adam has been intentionally underreporting his true income by funneling money into his business. He could easily pay the alimony I'm asking for by simply adjusting his current investment strategy. The audited financial statement shows a negative cash flow. Your Honor, Adam's accountants can manipulate the figures to produce whatever result they want. The judge raised his eyebrows. Are you suggesting the financials are fraudulent? Melanie's attorney paled and quickly shook her head in denial. Melanie noticed and quickly corrected herself. No, Your Honor, not at all. It's just that earnings can be deferred and investments accelerated while still staying within generally accepted accounting principles. He's overinvesting in his company, that's all. Adam felt his blood pressure rising as he leaned in and angrily whispered, "What a liar." She knows that's not true. She's just manipulating the situation to get what she wants, no matter the consequences. Meanwhile, Judge Abernathy was reviewing the case summary in front of him. We've discussed your husband's business investments, Mrs. Weatherby. From what I see here, it seems that Mr. Weatherby has also invested significantly in you, particularly in your education. If you're referring to my MBA, Your Honor, it's true that Adam paid my tuition, but I'm the one who put in the effort, completed all the courses, took the exams, and wrote my thesis. I've worked tirelessly for the past 2 years, including last summer. And you've just graduated, is that correct? Yes, sir, I graduated with honors, she responded proudly. He nodded. Very well, Mrs. Weatherby, that's all. You may be seated. As Melanie returned to her seat beside her attorney, Judge Abernathy adjusted his glasses and observed both parties for a moment. After considering all the evidence, I am going to grant Mrs. Weatherby the full amount of financial support she has requested. Adam winced as Melanie leaned over to hug her attorney, but the judge wasn't finished. This financial settlement provides a monthly sum that would allow Mrs. Weatherby to live comfortably without working for the foreseeable future. However, given that she has just earned an advanced degree that should enable her to secure a well-paying position in business, I am only awarding alimony for 6 months to give her additional incentive to put her expensive education to use. 6 months? You can't be serious, Melanie exclaimed. I can, and I have, the judge replied firmly, then slammed his gavel down. Next case. Melanie's attorney quickly pulled her away from the bench as she continued to protest the decision. It wasn't until a large bailiff approached that the frustrated young woman finally stopped. I only have to pay alimony for 6 months? I can live with that, Adam said to his attorney as they got up to leave the courtroom. How about that? His attorney responded, pleased. I thought we were done for when the judge went with her figure, but I guess he wasn't impressed with her attempt to squeeze you dry. Not many husbands come out this well in divorce court. I wonder why he was so lenient with you. You don't think her not contesting the adultery charge had anything to do with it? He's not supposed to factor that in when deciding on the financial settlement. Adam looked back at Melanie, who was still arguing with her lawyer, and smirked. Well, whatever the reason, I'm happy with how it ended. Just then, someone grabbed his arm. Adam turned to see an older man he didn't recognize, but who seemed somewhat familiar. I wanted to introduce myself, the gray-haired man said. I'm Professor Mayfair. Adam shook his hand firmly. Professor, it's a surprise to meet you in person, sir. Thank you again for your help. What brings you to court today? The older man smiled. After our interaction, I became interested in your case, so I thought I'd stop by to see how it concluded. Then his smile widened. It also gave me a chance to chat with an old friend of mine, Judge Abernathy. He shook Adam's hand again. I'm glad things turned out well for you. If you ever need my help again, just let me know. He winked. We divorced men have to stick together. As the professor walked away, Adam watched him go. I wonder... He muttered, then shook his head. Out of the corner of his eye, he thought he saw Jerry among the spectators, but when he turned to look, she was gone. Melanie. 30 months later. She dialed a familiar number on her cell phone, and when the call was answered, she cautiously said, Hi, Jerry. It's Melanie. Melanie! What a surprise. I haven't heard from you since you moved to Florida. How have you been? To be honest, the last few years have been pretty tough. That's actually why I'm calling. I really needed to talk to someone. Of course. What's been going on? Are you working now? Well, that's part of the problem. I assumed that with my MBA, finding a good job would be easy. But down here, employers seem to value experience more than academic qualifications. Most of the positions I was offered were either trainee roles or internships. Oh no, that doesn't sound very fulfilling. So, what did you end up doing? When the alimony stopped, I got pretty desperate. I even worked as an administrative assistant for a while, but it was awful. Now, I've started a new career in financial counseling. Actually, that's one of the reasons I'm calling. If you're open to it, I could review your financial situation. You'd be surprised how many people overlook that kind of thing. There was a brief pause. Oh, Melanie, I'd love to help, but my finances are in good shape now, and I'm feeling pretty confident about the future. I don't think I need any assistance. Sorry. That's okay, Jerry. I hear that a lot, but I figured I'd give it a shot. It's so tough to get a foothold in this business. I've even had to move back in with my mom to cut down on expenses. You're living with your mom? What happened between you and Carl? Don't even mention that jerk's name. We broke up just a few months after we moved here. Broke up? What happened? Oh, Jerry, it was awful. Carl dropped out of school without finishing his MBA. I'm not exactly sure what went wrong, but his advisor rejected his master's thesis and told him he'd have to start over. Carl got really bitter and decided not to go back. He refused to look for a job and spent all day at our apartment playing video games and drinking. Eventually, he started taking his frustrations out on me. It got so bad that I had to call the police on him. Oh, Melanie, that's terrible. Honestly, it sounds like you're better off without him. And look on the bright side. Now you're free to meet new people, party, and go dancing whenever you want. I remember how much you missed all that when you were married. Melanie sighed. Night clubbing and parties cost money, Jerry, and I'm not exactly flush these days. And to be honest, when I do go out, it's not nearly as glamorous or exciting as I used to think. I remember a certain friend warning me that there are way more creeps than good guys out there. She hesitated, but when Jerry remained silent, Melanie decided to shift the conversation. But enough about me, Jerry. How are you doing? Are you seeing anyone special these days? Actually, things have changed quite a bit for me, Mel. I'm getting married next month. Married? That's amazing. Who's the lucky guy? Do I know him? Yes, you do. It's Adam. Melanie, Adam and I are engaged. My Adam? You're engaged to my Adam? You can't be serious. I'm afraid it's true. We're having a small civil ceremony in the backyard of our new home, and then we're heading to Paris for our honeymoon. New home? Honeymoon in Paris? Adam can't afford all of that. Adam's situation has changed dramatically too, Mel. The same month you moved to Florida, he secured that big order he'd been working on for so long. After that, his business really took off. Apparently, his new product is exactly what the auto industry needed, and that's not all. Earlier this year, Adam got an offer from a major manufacturer to buy his business for a fortune. He accepted, and the sale closes next week. So, you don't need to worry about our financial future. Melanie could only stammer, but Jerry wasn't finished, and her tone shifted. You know, all of this could have been yours, Melanie, but you weren't satisfied with what you had. I warned you from the start that you were risking everything with your little affair. I also told you that there would be women eager to pick up the pieces if your marriage fell apart. But you were the one who encouraged me. You were the one who figured out how I could... Melanie's voice suddenly rose in realization. Oh my God, Jerry, it was you. You planned the whole thing from the beginning. All I did was share a harmless fantasy with you. You manipulated me into acting on it. You made me believe I could get away with an affair. Really, Melanie, you're being dramatic. I didn't manipulate you into doing anything you didn't already want to do. All I did was give you enough rope to hang yourself. I can't believe this. You must have been the one who tipped off Adam about Carl. You're smarter than that, Melanie. Think it through. If I had told Adam, he would have questioned how I knew. That wouldn't have been very clever, right? But I did advise you not to delete your secret Gmail account, and I did suggest that Adam check your emails. I use Gmail regularly, so I had a good idea of what he'd find when he did. So, no, Melanie. I didn't tell Adam about your affair. I just set things in motion so they'd unfold the way I wanted them to. I can't believe this. I trusted you, Jerry. I thought you were my friend. Jerry laughed. You know what they say, all's fair in love and war. You won't get away with this. I'll make sure Adam finds out what you've done, what kind of manipulator you really are. He'll definitely call off the wedding once he knows the truth. I'm sorry, Melanie, but I have to cut this conversation short. Adam and I have plans tonight, and I want to look especially good for him. Oh, and don't bother calling back. I'll be blocking your number as soon as we hang up. You deceitful, backstabbing witch! Adam. 30 months, and 1 day later. When Adam arrived home from work, Jerry welcomed him with a warm kiss. He returned the kiss, and then took a piece of paper from his jacket. You won't believe who emailed me today, Melanie. Oh, really? Jerry responded nonchalantly. I'd nearly forgotten about her. What does she want? Adam regarded his fiancée with a blank expression. Actually, she emailed to warn me about you. She claims you orchestrated everything to break up Mel and me. It's quite unbelievable. Can I see it? Jerry asked. He handed her the printout. After quickly scanning it, she returned it with a smile. Poor Melanie. She could have made her jealous little fantasy somewhat believable if she had just done one more thing. He looked at her, puzzled. She winked at him. She should have signed it, a good friend. It took him several minutes to stop laughing.